Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Nasiruddin and you're watching Scope 360 Canada. Welcome to our show. Today we have a very prominent individual in our studio who is a lifelong resident of Mississauga. He's a very prominent businessman, has an established business since 1991. He's happily married with two teenager, 18, 19-year-old children that are currently attending university. He is the CEO of Crime Stoppers of Peel region. He is also the VP for Eden Food for Change. He's a director for the Mississauga Arts Council, and a lot of other experience this gentleman has. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Imran Hasan, who's running as a councillor for Ward 11, to our studio. Imran, welcome to our studio, and we're gonna have a great discussion about who you are and why you're running as a councillor for Ward 11 in Mississauga.
Shukriya bahut Nasir bhai. Very excited to be here with your audience. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really want to, talk to the audience about the importance of voting at the local level of government and the services that the local level of government provides for our community. I think it's overshadowed many times by the different levels of government, including our federal and provincial, but really at the local level of government, it impacts the lives of our citizens, not just daily, but hourly. And so these are the kind of things that we want to talk about.
Excellent, excellent. Well, let me ask you this question right off from the bat. You have a business which is very successful. Why would you want to do this crazy thing and run as a councillor for Ward 11?
Well, it's an excellent question, Nasir bhai. This is not my first foray into public office. I ran the first time in 2014, just to establish myself and to really understand how the local level of government process works. And alhamdulillah, with the hard work and the support from the community, I finished second place behind the incumbent, which really inspired me to run again a second time in 2018. And again, while the incumbent was running, I finished second place, respectably, having more votes combined than the previous candidates who were running behind me. That kind of set up the stage for this election, which is 2022, in which the incumbent decided he's going to retire. So that really gave us the inspiration and motivation to keep going and run this campaign. And this time around, the message at the doors, Nasir bhai, is so very refreshing. And really, I'm running because I want to help make a difference. I love Mississauga. I want to ensure that Ward 11 is safer and more vibrant for our future generations.
Great.
And I'm leaving my job as the CEO of Trans Global Systems of Canada so that I can help make an impact at the local level of government.
Great. Well, one of the experiences, and you've been so involved, you're a community builder. You're absolutely a community builder. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit more about that?
So it's funny, I'm knocking on doors and someone will open a door and say, oh my God, not another politician. And I say, no, I'm not that guy. I'm a community builder. They say, what's a community builder? I say, let me tell you the work that I've done in the community. Whether it was my volunteer service at the Mississauga Board of Trade as the chair for the International Trade Committee, as well as the Growth and Power Committee, championing our entrepreneurs and small businesses, to working with our first responders, police, fire, and paramedics as the chair for Peel Crime Stoppers, another volunteer role. And it's so very important to give a hand up to the community in need, especially during COVID-19, and the work that I've done with Eden Food for Change, the food bank that serves Western Mississauga. It's just been very, very important. And I think all of those aspects together, along with being a director with the Mississauga Arts Council, just really makes me the ideal candidate who understands the community from a 360 perspective and is able to help provide the necessary support that all of the stakeholders in the community need.
Excellent. And you said 360. I'm glad you're on Scope 360, so good plug there as well. Now let me ask you, Imran, what is the roles and the responsibility of a councillor? Like, what does the councillor do?
Well, let me start off by talking about how the local level of government impacts the citizens of Mississauga and the local municipalities, which are 444 municipalities in Ontario, for your information, here in Canada. When you wake up in the morning and you go to brush your teeth or take a shower, that is a municipal service. When you take your car and back it onto from your driveway onto the road, and you're driving on these city roads, That's a municipal service. Or when in the winter time, here in Canada anyways, when you're walking on that nicely shoveled sidewalk, that's another municipal service. And heaven forbid, you should have to call 911 and use the services of police, fire, or paramedics. Those are all municipal services. So you can see how the municipal level of government provides services to the citizens of its community, not just daily, but hourly. And the role of the councillor is to ensure that they can build that bridge between the residents, the business owners, the stakeholders, and the local government to make sure that everyone is receiving those services in an effective and a timely way.
So you're basically the intermediary. So if I'm a resident of Ward 11 and I find out there's an issue with speeding, or I'm not getting the proper services, I need to contact the fire department, the ambulance, EMS, police department, and I'm not getting what I feel is the proper service. So my thing would be, well, Imran Hasan after October 24th is the counselor. So hey, Imran, you know what? I'm not happy with the speeding, or I'm not happy with the services, the response time, blah blah. I pick up the phone, I contact you. You're the man who's going to look after this.
100%. On the front of my postcard is my mobile number. It's been my number for the last 20 years. And after I'm elected on October the 24th, that number will remain the same.
Excellent.
I want people to know that I'm one phone call away. I will remain visible, I will remain responsive, and I will be in the community, whether it's visiting the business owners or talking to residents at the door or just being available in the community. My business has been in Streetsville since 1991. Over 30 years living, working, and raising a family in the community shows my dedication to the city as well as to the community. And that's why I feel I'm a strong candidate for this role. And I've been knocking on doors, Nasir Bhai, for the last 10 weeks. I filed my nomination back in May. We're now in middle of September. And I can tell you that what I'm hearing at the doors is that people feel that their voice is not being heard. Representation matters. And currently, they feel that this is not something that is happening. And knocking on the doors and talking to the residents and listening to them and listening to the business owners and listening to the voices of the stakeholders really is so very important. And it's something that hasn't been happening. And this is something that I'm committing to, not only during the campaign, before the campaign, but after the campaign is over.
And what are some of the comments, the feedback that you're getting from within the community when you're going door knocking?
Well, the priorities that I'm hearing about at the doors is community safety and road safety, neighborhood security, and of course, looking after the vulnerable. It's so very important. We've been through a very difficult time with COVID-19. We need to ensure that, we can protect everyone, not leave anyone behind, and just ensure that, whether it's the seniors or whether it's the children or those who have special needs, that they're provided with the necessary security and safety so that they're able to, attend schools or attend the programs or participate in the community without the risk of people driving, as you said, too fast, or the cars being stolen in the community and other crimes that are happening. And we've seen far too many examples of that. And police can't do the job alone. They need that partnership with the community, and organizations like Peel Crime Stoppers that are community-led play a vital role in building that connectivity and that security together with law enforcement agencies and our other first responders, and the role of the food bank obviously also provides the necessary supports to those who are vulnerable in our community. So all of these things are interconnected, and it's an ecosystem, Nasir Bhai, and it's not one stakeholder that can undertake this responsibility alone. Right. It is a shared responsibility. So,
and one of the great things is also the experience and being the CEO. Is it CEO, chairman?
Chair
of the Peel Crime Stoppers.
Yep.
So that already your foot is already in there. You already have that connection in there. I know you've been very involved with the community, with all the levels, from the fire department to EMS to the policing, right? So that already gives you an added edge, being a member of the community, listening to all the comments, the feedback you're getting. So that's really good. So on October the 25th, you're going to hit the ground running. You get the ground running, right? That's excellent. That's good too. Now, what to ask you, Imran, is so there's 3 levels of government that we have. You have your municipal, you have your provincial, and you have your federal. Now, a lot of the times, people when they go out to vote, they'll go out for their federal, they'll go out for their provincial, but hardly people go out for their municipal, right? What have you noticed in the community from stats? Like, I mean, how many people are actually voting? They're going out. Do they actually take the municipal elections seriously, or like, you know what, my vote won't count? That kind of stuff. So, do you want to tell our audience about that as well, too?
I'm happy to talk about that on a very high level. The highest level of turnout for any elections is federal. People feel that they're compelled to vote for their prime minister. Now, partisan politics works a little differently, a whole lot differently than the local level, both provincially and federally. So I think it's about a 50-odd% turnout at the federal level, maybe a 40-odd% turnout at the provincial level, and disappointingly at the municipal level, it's something like 30%.
Wow.
And in some municipalities and jurisdictions like Ward 11, I think it's as low as 25%. So 1 in 4 people are voting. And I feel that the real reason for that is what we talked about earlier, Nasir bhai, and that is people feel that their voices are not being heard. And if we're not knocking on doors, we're not having those conversations, we're not engaging people in discussions and asking them what are their concerns, what keeps them up at night, what are their priorities, because that is what I would like to do, is to make their priorities my priorities. And as you so well pointed out, having the relationships already with the stakeholders in the community allows me to get to work right on day 1 on the 25th of October.
Excellent. I'll be calling you on October 25th. I'll be calling you on the night of the October 24th to congratulate you. And on the 25th, say, Imran, get to work, right? Excellent. Well, Imran, you've provided us with a lot of information. And there's still one more question that I have that I need to ask you. From the feedback from your previous experience, the other 2 times when you ran, from the stats, the demographics that you've received, what would you say is the turnout of different ethnic communities, demographics, all that? Do you see only one particular type of demographic, one type of ethnic group that goes out and vote, and the other one that doesn't vote? Like, what have you noticed in the past 2 times when you ran?
So we've studied the demographics. It's an excellent question, Nasir bhai. And what we've seen is that the demographics of Ward 11 specifically, and overall Mississauga generally, is shifting. We've seen an increased number of visible minorities and ethnic groups making Mississauga their home. And so that changes the demographics of the voters. There's always that core number of voters who are determined to come out and vote, and many of them are established members of the community. Residents who've lived in the city or in neighborhoods for 30, 40, 50 years. But many of those people are moving out of the communities and they're being replaced by newcomers. And when I say newcomers, I mean you could be here 6 months or even 6 years. But many people, they just need to get into the flow and into the habit of voting. And so what we see are mainstream voters are the most common who come out and vote. Ethnic voters are starting to vote more. And my really focus is to go out and knock on as many doors as possible so we can engage people in conversations, to let them know that their voice matters and that representation matters. And when we look at council, we don't see a reflection of the community. The community is more than 50% diverse. But when you look at council, we only have 1 elected official from a diverse background. So it's really an opportunity for the community to step forward, to show that they really want someone who is a reflection of the community that they live, work, and raise their families in, and that someone who understands them. Like my father came to Canada in 1973, and as a pioneer, he didn't have very many role models. So when he was navigating through the system, he really didn't know about the 3 different levels of government. He really didn't know who to call when he had an issue, and I feel that that is the experience I can bring forward to the newcomers who are coming to Canada now to make this great country their home. They'll need help navigating through the system. They'll need that one phone number they can pick up and call and say, Imran bhai, I need to know, there's an issue with, my water, my electricity, whether it's, a road or a sidewalk issue. Can you direct my call to the appropriate department so we can remedy these issues? Or whether it's a provincial or federal matter, I may not have that jurisdiction, but I certainly know who I can direct the call to. And I think that's the role of that elected official, is to be able to, help those people navigate through the system and be able to direct their call to the appropriate department or level of government that can certainly support them. And really, we just need to ensure that we can make this country safer and more vibrant for our future generations, and that's why I'm running.
And also have representation of all ethnicity, because we're such a diversified, multilingual, multicultural country, right? Now, the other thing you also mentioned, you don't have to be a newcomer in Ward 11. So for example, you could be living downtown Toronto pretty much all your life. You decide to buy a house, you move to Mississauga, you just happen to be in this particular ward.
Yes.
Go out and vote. Right? So you don't have to be a newcomer to the country. You could be a newcomer in that particular community.
That's right.
And you could go out and vote, right? So that is very important, because I do notice that a lot of people that, like I say, of a South Asian background, my friends who are Pakistani, Indian, ask them, hey, are you going to go and vote? It's the municipal. Yeah, it's not, my vote's not going to really count. My vote really doesn't mean that much, right? But as you mentioned too, when it comes to provincial or federal, oh yeah, they know, they got their card ready, or they even go to the advanced polling, right? So in conclusion, Imran, please tell the audience. Once again, we know your numbers, like for the past 20 years, 416-410-8762.
Correct.
Also tell them, I love your handle for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I like how you said it. So why don't you tell our audience, one, about the importance of every single vote, getting out, making sure the representation is there from the community. You don't vote, don't complain, right? You can't complain about, oh yeah, this is not happening in my community, or the road's not done. Well, did you go and vote? No, well, don't complain, right? So let's get your handle. I like how you came up with the handle here.
Well, it's simple. It's Imran Hasan, YYZ, like the airport, Pearson International, where people are coming from all around the world to land here at the airport in Mississauga and make this country their home. And my phone number, as Nasir pointed out, is 416-410-8762. You can check out my website at imranhasan.ca. I'm a phone call away or an email away. Feel free to engage me on social media. We put out some really interesting content on TikTok as well as on the different channels. I think it's really important that we bring forward those conversations, because many people will look at someone like you or I, Nasir bhai, and say, hey, so are you local? And you're like, well, yeah, I'm local. I mean, I've been here 50 years. Does that make me local? I guess it does, right? But we just don't look like, and our names don't look like many of the mainstream people who are in elected office. But as time goes on, we'll see more and more integration of the ethnic names into mainstream society, and then we'll start seeing the Imran Hassans, more commonly in the elected positions, both municipally as well as provincially and federally. And I think it's really an opportunity for us to become those role models for our children and for their children. Because unless we get there, unless we're able to hold that position, whether it's the chair for PO Crime Stoppers, or the vice president of the board for Eden Food for Change, or a director for the Mississauga Arts Council, how will our children and their children be able to look up to us and say that, wow, you were able to, sort of break that barrier and, sort of smash that glass ceiling and really create, a space where we can see ourselves being represented. And really it all starts, Nasir bhai, for your viewers, with volunteering. I really believe passionately that every one of us should get out and volunteer in our community and outside of our community, right? Don't do it just within your own silos, but do it, to build bridges between other communities, whether it's with churches, whether it's with service organizations, whether it's with stakeholder groups, but get out there. And food banks, so very important to volunteer your time with the food banks. And, food banks don't discriminate against who they serve.
Yes.
They serve all communities, all demographics, all ethnicities, and I think it's so very important that we help give a hand up to the community in need, so that we can build safer and stronger communities together.
And the only way you and everybody else can make a change is for people to go out and vote. If you don't vote, you cannot make the change, and every vote counts. That's our constitutional right. A lot of people in various other countries are not even given this right or this privilege to vote. So we're very lucky to be in Canada, to have the opportunity as Canadian citizens to vote on both on the federal, provincial, and municipal elections. So it's so important, and also for the South Asian community, चाहे आप पंजाबी हैं, चाहे आप पाकिस्तानी हैं, चाहे इंडियन, जो भी आपका मज़हब है, जो भी आपका बैकग्राउंड है, it is so important कि आप जाके वोट करें. अगर आप वोट नहीं करेंगे, you don't have a voice. आपकी voice नहीं है. So please get out. Imran, why don't you leave a message in Urdu or Hindi, Punjabi, whatever you feel comfortable with for our audience.
आप सब लोग बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. आपने हमें ये टाइम दिया, ये मौका दिया हमें, ताकि हम अपने तरफ से थोड़ा बहुत, जितना हमारा जितनी हमारी गुंजाइश है, हम आपको समझाएं जो हम काम कर रहे हैं कम्युनिटी में, ताकि आपकी बेनिफिट पहुँचे, आपके बच्चों की बेनिफिट पहुँचे, और आप सब कम्युनिटी को बेनिफिट करें. आप सब ये बात रखें याद कि 24 अक्टूबर इज़ योर इलेक्शन डे. इफ़ यू कैन नॉट वोट October 24, उससे पहले एडवांस पोल भी आ रहा है 13, 14, 15, 16 अक्टूबर को. उसमें भी एडवांस पोल होगा, और उससे पहले भी एक हफ्ते पहले 7, 8 और 9 अक्टूबर को. That is the long weekend. It's the Thanksgiving long weekend here in Canada. We'll be having the advance polls as well. तो आपको 3 मौके मिलेंगे वोट डालने के. तो ऐसे कोई वजह नहीं होनी चाहिए
No excuses.
जो हम वोट नहीं डालें. तो हम आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं कि आप प्लीज़ consider looking around in the community you live in, find the candidates, do your research, and go out and vote and elect the individual who represents your priorities, and somebody who has experience, somebody who's committed, and somebody who's really doing this for all the right reasons, and really is focused on helping build a safer and a stronger community for our next generation.
Excellent, Imran. You've got everything covered here, sir. The experience you have, not only from as a business person, from an entrepreneur, but from the Crime Stoppers, from the Eden, life experiences, running previously twice as well. So I wish you the very best for October the 24th. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your election day. It's a Monday. You got to get out and vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain. Oh, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. So once again, you could go to Imran's website at imranhasan.ca. You can send me an email, reply at imranhasan.ca. Phone number 416-410-8762. His handle for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is at Imran Hasan YYZ. You cannot forget YYZ because that's your Toronto person. So Imran, I wish you the very best. Thank you very much for coming in our studio. And once again, we need people to get out and vote. And remember, change is good. Change is good. A lot of people are scared of change, but change is good. And we need change.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum. Khuda Hafiz.